Quiz time, true or false? If you are an expert who works with clients, being really, really good at what you do is enough to be compensated well for it. I've got some good news and some bad news. First, the bad news. Your expertise is not enough. Here's why, and here is the good news about what we can do about it. Welcome to the Story Greenlight podcast, where we're all about helping professional advisors tell your stories so that you can serve more clients and expand your impact in the world. My name is Jeff Bartsch. I am a communicator and marketing strategist with over 20 years of experience working with ABC, NBC, Universal, Disney, Apple, and thousands of students and clients around the world. At Story Greenlight, we believe that real people trust real people and that human connection is everything. One of the benefits of gaining life experience is that you see more things, you experience more things, you make more mistakes, and in all this, you see patterns starting to pop up. And over the years of working with expert clients and developing expertise of my own, I have definitely seen some patterns popping up. And this applies to both to my high-end corporate clients, this applies to one-on-one individual clients, and even to group coaching clients as well. And it all goes back to storytelling and story structure. So what we always talk about here at Story Greenlight is the idea of the master story framework, which is the framework that makes sense of any story. It's about a character who wants something, overcomes conflict to get it, and experiences transformation as a result. When we talk about the process that our one-on-one clients go through, it's the Story Greenlight roadmap, and it takes that master story framework and it applies it to all the different characters in the story, in your business, in the story of your clients, your audience, your shareholders, your stakeholders, whatever that looks like for you. And we talk about how those stories line up or don't line up. It's the story alignment process. It's the story alignment step of the Story Greenlight roadmap. And that is the very first part that is critical for getting a big picture view of who we are, who's involved, what are the issues on the table, and how do we move forward. And if you want to learn more about that roadmap and how we use it to guide our clients, you can check out the show notes or the video description. For the moment, I want to talk about the story of the expert, of you. It really doesn't matter all that much what field you're in. If you are an expert, most experts want pretty much the same thing in varying degrees. We want to be good at what we do. We want to be excellent. We want to be respected by our clients. We want to be respected and or admired by our peers. We want to have an impact in the world, and we want to be compensated well for our expertise. So when you look at that list of the things that most experts want, it's really tempting to look at that and say, okay, well, how can we make that happen? Well, the number one thing we often end up thinking is to be really, really good at what we do. Because if we're good at what we do, everything else will follow, right? That, my friend, is the danger of expertise. It is really, really easy to think that if we're really good at what we do, that's all we need in order for all those other things to happen, including being compensated well for it. Just because you're really good at what you do does not, in fact, mean that you will automatically get more clients. It does not mean that you automatically know how to run a business around your expertise. If you're familiar with the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, fantastic, illuminating, eye-opening read. Highly recommend if you haven't read it. The E-Myth talks about a story of a woman who was raised by her aunt to learn how to bake pies. And her friends always said, always make the best pies. You should open a bakery. You should open up a pie shop. And enough of her friends said that. So she said, yes, I'm going to do this. And basically what she found out was that when she opened up her pie shop, very soon she found herself hating life. And it was for all sorts of reasons that Gerber digs into throughout the book. And the thing for us to keep in mind here in this conversation is the idea, being an expert at making pies or anything else does not mean that you know how to run a business around making pies. Selling pies and getting clients to buy your pies is another thing entirely, apart from the expertise of actually making the pies in the first place. And if you want a ridiculous example of this, you need look no further than this guy right here. The early years of me developing my professional career and my expertise in the entertainment industry in Hollywood, I started off building my professional career as a TV editor in the early 2000s, and I quickly moved down that path of becoming an expert. And about 5-6 years in, I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It pretty much turned my brain inside out, and I decided that I wanted to get paid for more than just trading my hours for dollars. I wanted to get paid more than just once. And so I started an online business based around teaching my expertise. I was getting better and better at my craft and my expertise of storytelling via television. And I wanted to sell that and be compensated for it. And so my idea was I was going to sell packages of unedited film and video footage as learning tools for people who are learning how to edit. Because at that time, it was not nearly as easy to get access to high quality footage or to create footage of your own. And I remember being in film school saying, man, I wish I could just get my hands on really good footage. The idea made sense to me at the time. And so that's what I built this business around. And the trap to this was I knew the idea of how to edit the content. I'd been doing things like teaching for quite a long time. I started teaching piano lessons when I was in junior high. I was into that idea. What I did not know was I did not know what the business needed. That was a great, big, huge area where the story alignment was not in alignment because the business that I was building, it was a character. It had needs. And I did not only did I not give the business what it needed, I didn't even know what it needed in the first place. And so what I spent lots of time doing, I spent lots of time engaging in my expertise. I knew how to do television and video editing, so I did lots of editing for sample pieces to put up on the website that meant that people would automatically come to the website, see my amazing expertly edited pieces, and they would buy the stuff that was for sale on the website. Well, here's what happened. Some people bought it. Most people didn't. I found out that the entities that were more interested in this were actually schools, educational institutions who were already in the business of teaching how to edit TV and film. And the challenge with that was when you try to sell to schools, they're the ones who are always crying, we have no budget, we're poor, we have no budget. And the business was, the business came to a point where its primary customer was always saying, we have no money. It did not work well. That business did not work well at all. It did not need more of my expertise. The business needed a customer who had a genuine need for what the business was offering, and it needed customers who had the ability to pay money for what the business had to offer. It didn't need me to make more demo videos on the website. I had no idea about that at the time, but it took me a long time banging my head against the wall to figure that out. Back to the idea of experts. If your business depends on you exercising your expertise, you have to embrace the fact that your expertise just by itself is not enough to have a business that compensates you well for it. That business of your expertise requires all the things that a business requires. I mean, and we've talked about your story. We've talked about the story of you, the expert, and what you want and what's standing in your way. And well, we actually haven't dug into that at this point yet. That's another episode, another conversation. Your story is one thing, but when we need to talk about story alignment, we need to talk about your business's story and who it is, and what it wants. And this is what your business wants. It has needs, whether you like it or not, and whether you're good at it or not. And the number one thing a business of expertise needs beyond an expert, it needs people who will pay money to receive that expertise. It needs clients. So, of course, the question then becomes, how do you get clients? And that happens through two main processes. It happens through the processes of marketing and sales. This is probably not news to you. It is probably also not news to you that marketing and sales are both worlds just in and of themselves. Marketing, the idea of getting in front of strangers and getting them into a place where they not only know about you, but they maybe even raise their hand and say, I'm interested, tell me more. And then the process of sales, that process of inviting people to saying yes to working with you. Like I said, marketing and sales are enormous worlds in and of themselves. And so to focus things further, I just want to point out that not all marketing is alike. Not all sales processes are alike. If you're Coke or you're Apple, it's fine if you spend 7 or 8 figures every year of your marketing budgets putting billboards on freeways and $1 million commercials on TV for sporting events. That's fine. That's what big brands do. But when you're a professional advisor earning money from your expertise, you have to engage in the kind of marketing that will actually speak in the right way and do the right things to convince your prospects that, number one, you know what you're talking about, and number two, you are the one to solve their problems with your expertise. We experts in the business of selling expertise, we have to know marketing so our prospects can become paying clients, and so we can serve them with our expertise. If you want to talk more about what that looks like for you, you can check out the show notes or the video description, depending on where you're seeing this. And in the meantime, I'm glad you're here. Keep telling your stories, keep showing up for your people, because human connection is everything.